and you can also work in the production unit whereby you enforce quality control, whereby you enforce quality control. You can work as a supervisor. Like now, when I graduated from school, I was actually employed where I did my IT, because I did my IT in a poultry industry. And this poultry industry, they have a lot of departments. They have a veterinary laboratory, they have water treatment, they have food processing unit. So I was be able to go around because I didn't limit myself to just lab. I went round the production session and also in the laboratory. So they also have water treatment. So because as a microbiology, you can work in the food processing unit, you can work in the water treatment. So even that actually give me an edge when I was finally transferred to the lab, because I understand the production process. I understand the hazard critical control. So it actually empowered me. So as a laboratory scientist with a specialist in microbiology, in biochemistry, in physics and electronics, you can actually work in food industry. So you can also work in food industry. You can do your IT in food industry. So the third one is pharmaceutical industry, where drug are being produced. So they also have a production section. They also have a laboratory session. Laboratory session is a session that check for the quality, that check whether the drug have right quantity of active ingredients. So there's a quality checkup of the physical parameter, the chemical parameters, and also the microbiological parameters. So those people who carry out this work, they are a laboratory scientist. They are laboratory scientists that check the quality of that drug they are selling out to the public. So it is the role of the science laboratory graduates to carry out this job. If you are just a microbiology there, working there, you have to work under the supervision of a registered member of NISLT, which is SLT graduate. That is the position of the national laboratory policy. So you can also do your IT in the clinical laboratory. Clinical laboratory include biomedical research laboratory. It includes a medical laboratory, because in medical laboratory, they carry out microbiological analysis. They carry out sensitivity. So they carry out chemistry test. Even in research, when you are carrying out research, you want to check the effect of drug on a certain condition. You have to check maybe you are trying to control diabetic. You have to check for glucose level. Those are clinical laboratory tests. So as such, you can do your IT student, do your IT training, or find a career in clinical laboratory. So it might be medical laboratory or clinical research laboratory. Although in a medical laboratory, there is still a kind of contention between SLT and medical lab. However, we have some of our members who are practicing a clinical laboratory privately, and some of them are also even working in medical lab. So you can also work in biotech company. You can also do your industrial attachment in biotech company, like where they generate our test kits, improving agricultural products, generation of drugs, like through biotechnologic means. Like insulin can be produced with a biotechnologic techniques. Like we have some microorganisms that produce insulin. So these organisms can actually be manipulated in the lab to produce more than what they can produce on their natural condition due to genetic engineering. So you can also work in a biotechnological lab, and even in their production section. You can do your IT and PAN career there too. You can also do your IT in a research laboratory. So you can also do your research. You can also find career in research laboratory, also do your IT there. Because in research, we conduct research in food, in medical research, we have physical research. So as a laboratory scientist, you are trained to actually conduct quality research. So you can find career in a research laboratory. Like now we have IIT, we have other research laboratory institute in agricultural sector, in medicine. So you can find yourself working there. So also you can also do your IT in water and wastewater treatment plants and water laboratory. Like when I started working, the first place I work is water treatment. So, and this treatment of water involve physical, chemical, and biological process. So your option will actually empower you to work in this area. In this area, because well, if you are treating your well, you need alum, you need lime, you need chlorine to distillate the water, and this thing involve chemical reaction. Microbiology has to be removed from the water through either chemical method or physical chemical, either physical or chemical method. So you can find yourself working in water treatment plants, and also or in their lab where they check for the microbiology quality of the water, and also check for the chemical parameters, because water treatment can be treated into various forms. You can treat water for drinking, you can treat water for machine, you can treat water for poultry use. You can also treat your wastewater, and this form of treatment you have now have a standard. We have a standard for drinking water. We have a standard for production. So, and this standard must be complied. And how do you know that the treatment process? So how do you know that the treatment process you apply to your water is in compliance with the standard? You have to conduct laboratory analysis on the water to know whether it's compliant to the standard of what you want to treat your water for. So you can find a career in water treatment plants and also in the laboratory. We have chemical industry too. You can do your IT in chemical industry, like where they produce soap, where they produce organic chemicals. They also have lab quality checkup too. So the other one is telecommunication industry. Telecommunication industry, like an option like physics, electronics, they can work in telecommunication industry. So those physics, electronics, they can actually work there. They can also work in a electrical workshop on industry, petrochemical industry. There you can also find career in this area. You can also do your IT, because some of our school run option in petrochemical technology. So you can also do your IT in petrochemical industry. In oil company, you can do your IT, because they also have a lab to check the quality of their petrol, the petrol they are selling out. So it's they have a standard standard that they follow. So for the product standard for you to know that the product you are selling is in compliance with standard, you have to conduct a laboratory analysis on them. And if there's any issue with the product, it has to be rectified before it's being sold out. So these are the area whereby IT SAT students can do their IT, and they can also find career in this area. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Yes.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. So the next one now is graduation qualification. So as an SAT, if you graduated from university, you are going to be awarded with either BSc degree or bachelor in technology, and you'll be regarded as a laboratory scientist. Although they are actually working, the NIST as a regulatory body is actually working to unify the SAT nomenclature. So we want to be using BSAT instead of BSc. So if you graduated from a polytechnic with a HND, you'll be regarded as a laboratory technology. So if you graduated as an OND holder, you'll be regarded as a laboratory technician, lab technician. So for university, you are a laboratory scientist. If you graduated from university, you'll be regarded as a laboratory scientist. If you graduated with HND from Polytechnic, you'll be regarded as a laboratory scientist, while that of OND will be regarded as a lab technician. So after you graduate from school, either Polytechnic or university, you have to be inducted into the profession. Like you have to be inducted, and a license will be given to you to practice. So you can't just graduate and start working as a laboratory scientist. You have to be inducted into the profession, and a license will be awarded to you to practice. So the first step in the induction process after you graduate from the university is to apply for mandatory professional examination through Nislt site, which is our regulatory body. So then after the application, your application is approved, you are going to involve in a mandatory professional examination that involve module 1, 2, and practicals. And practical. Then after you pass the examination, now the next thing for you is that you are going to register. You will register. Then after registration, you are going to be issued a license to practice as a laboratory scientist or laboratory technology if you graduated from Polytechnic. So after you are being licensed, so your license need to be renewed annually, which is 10,000 naira. The application fee, I think the total cost for you to get inducted currently is about 120,000 naira. So after you have been issued a license to practice, then NYSC, you go for NYSC program. Then after you finish your NYSC mandatory program, then you are out to seek for job. So if you get a job in a government organization, so the entry point for BSc is level 8. So it's level 8. You are going to start for level 8 as a BSc holder. You know, for normal courses like just biochemistry, if you are being employed, they are not going to absorb you as at level 8. They are not going to absorb you into level 8. Level 8, you are going to start from level 7. But for professional courses, for SAT program, you are going to start from level 8, while your terminal point is level 17. Level 17, that is for BSc graduate SAT program. For SAT BSc graduate, you start from level 8, and your terminal point is going to be level 17, which is position of director. So if you graduated as a HND holder, you are going to start as level 8, but your terminal point now will be you'll be level 14. For you to move to the next point, you have to either go for additional program. You have to go for postgraduate program, masters, or you go for conversion to have a degree certificate. So that is the dichotomy between BSc and HND holder. Although the association is working on reviewing the scheme of service of SAT students to level 10 or level 9, they are still working on it to ensure that when you are seeking a job, you start from level 10 instead of level 8. So the association is actually working hard to get that achieved. So now we are done with the SAT now. So the next topic we are going to take now is NIST. So what is NIST? The full meaning of NIST is Nigeria Institute of Science Laboratory Technology. The acronym is NIST. So when I say NIST, I mean Nigeria Institute of Science Laboratory Technology. So what is Nigeria Institute of Science Laboratory Technology? It's a professional regulatory body and also a research agency established in 2003 by the Act number 12 of the National Assembly with a mandate, among others, to regulate the practice of science lab technology profession in Nigeria. So this NIST was made a parastatus under the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, which is now Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, with a core mandate to advance science laboratory technology in Nigeria. So the institute, by its mandate, is a professional regulatory and research agency. So by the time we get to the function of the institute, you will find it clear there that the core mandate of the institute is to regulate the practice of science lab technology in Nigeria and also conduct research in science lab technology. So let's go to the history of NIST now. So the establishment of Science Lab Technology Professional Body started in 1971 during the meeting of science technologies with the Institute of Science Technology, London, Lagos branch, chairman by late Professor A. Akin Sawyer, the first Nigeria Council member of the Institute of the Institute, London. So it was materialized on 25 March 1972. So the Nigeria Institute of Science Technology was inaugurated by the Federal Commissioner of Education, late Mr. A.Y. Ike. So I've mentioned it earlier, the objective of the institute is to provide indigenous central body for lab technology and scientists in Nigeria to provide training, examination, and local certification to science laboratory professional, which is distinct from City and Guide of London Institute, because the professional body that regulate laboratory technologies in Nigeria before were City and Guide Institute of London. So after a few years, the institute was passed into law, and it was now recognized as a professional body in Nigeria. That happened in 2003. So, which is regarded as NIST Act of number 12 of 2003. So the first council of NIST was inaugurated on 27 May 2007 by the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology. So what are the core mandate of the institute? What are the function of the institute? Because they are stated clear, the function of the institute. One of the function of the institute is to advance science laboratory technology in Nigeria. That is one. Number two is to determine the standard of knowledge, exposure. Standard of knowledge, exposure to equipment, practical skills to be attained by the person seeking to become a registered member of the institute. And this standard has to be reviewed time to time to promote the higher standard of competency, practice, and conduct among members of the profession, to secure the establishment and the maintenance of the registered members and the publication from time to time of the list of the member of the profession, to serve as a agency to secure, safeguard, advance the professional knowledge and standing and efficiency. So the other one is safeguard the interests of laboratory technology through council establishment under the section 4 of this act. And also the mandate is to be saddled with the responsibility to conduct examination and grant certificate. So the license you are, we talked about the exam earlier, that they conduct examination for graduate of SLT. So it is the function of the Nislt to conduct exam and grant certificates, and also advise institute that has to do with Nislt, that has to do with laboratory practice, like academic institution, industry research institute, and so on and so forth. So they also started with the responsibility to assist in giving them advice on how to run laboratory technology. So they also mandated to conduct research in all area of science lab technology. So like I said earlier, that is a research agency. So from the mandate, the function of the institute by law is that they should conduct a research in all area of science lab technology. What are the area in science lab technology? We have biochemistry, we have biomedical, we have clinical microbiology, we have physics and electronics, we have geology. So this area, some of this area whereby you can conduct research. So that is the reason why government do give them a grant for them to fulfill this mandate. So let's go to the next slide. So another function of the institute is to serve as a certified agency to its registered member to ensure safety standard, necessary facilities in lab science and workshop in Nigeria. So their role is to ensure that they have adequate safety measures. You have the necessary facilities that is required for you to function in that laboratory. So it's their responsibility to ensure that organization with laboratory, academic institution, industry, to ensure that they have safety standard, because the professional working in the lab has to be protected, the environment has to be protected, and also there must be an operation SOP, standard procedure, that they must have in place in the lab to ensure that, okay, they do their work efficiently. So, and to ensure that whatever is coming from that lab is of quality and standard. So another function of the institute is to ensure through its registered member effective and efficient management and administration of all science lab in Nigeria. So what this place is saying saying in this, the mandate of the institute is to ensure that in any science lab, SLT certified member must be registered, must be the manager and administrator of science lab in academic institution, in industry. So anybody that is working as a laboratory scientist, who is not SLT, they have to work under the supervision of Nislt. As a matter of fact, they are not supposed to work in the lab once they are not licensed. So in a situation whereby we have a situation currently where some organization, they have people heading their lab, they are not a registered member, they are quacks. So this mandate also is the mandate of the institute is to ensure that the qualify and trained personnel are the one managing all science laboratory in Nigeria. So they also have the mandate to conduct training for the members. So the institute, like NIS Institute now, they have a training program schedule. So they derive their power from this mandate, because this mandate is a law. It's a law, okay? So it is a law. So they do conduct training for scientists, laboratory scientists, to ensure that they develop capacity, they have capacity to carry out their job properly. So they also conduct inspection of science lab, laboratory science lab in school, post-secondary school, institution, industry, research institute, in order to improve professional standards. So they also started with the mandate to conduct inspection. So the institute have what they call monitoring and evaluation team. So they are supposed to be going around institutions that have lab, like secondary school, university, polytechnic, industry research institute, to ensure that this lab have a standard operation. They have qualified personnel in their lab. They have necessary safety measure. They have standard operation procedure. They have safety guide in their lab, and the lab structure must be properly done, because you can't just build. We have a standard structure for lab. That is a standard structure you have to follow. So there is standard for everything when it comes to laboratory, and the role of the NIST is to ensure that this organization with laboratory comply with standard, because we have like I said earlier, we have NIST rules and regulation, we have ISO standard, we have national laboratory policy. So these standards are meant to be used while you are operating lab. You have to comply to that standard while you are working in the laboratory. So these are some of the mandate of the institute. Mandate of some of the institutes. So let's go to category of membership of the institute. Like I said earlier, that after you graduate from your school, you are going to be inducted into the profession. So we have category of membership. We have corporate membership. We have non-corporate membership. So under corporate membership, we have associates of the institute. We also have fellow of the institute. So I'm going to take a fellow of the institute. For you to become a fellow under the old guideline, although we have a new guideline, under the old guideline, for you to become a fellow of the institute, you must have been practiced. We have two guidelines for old guideline. You must have been practicing for 15 years. Then after that, you applied for a fellowship program. Then you write a comprehensive report of your working experience. Then they are going to assign a supervisor for you that will supervise you, and your write-up has to be defended. After you have defended your write-up, then you are going to register for membership. And that after they register for membership, you are going to be inducted as the fellow. So that is number one old guideline. So the second old guideline was that if you have practiced for 5 years, you can apply. The difference between the old guideline number 1 and 2 is that the second old guideline, the year is a bit lesser, but you are going to carry out research. You are not going to use your working experience in this area. You are going to carry out a research. They are going to give you a research topic, assign a lecturer from university to supervise your work. Then after you are done with your research, you defend. After you defend, then you are eligible to register for the fellow of the institute. Then after registration, if you are qualified, you are going to be inducted as a fellow of the institute. So like under the fellow of the institute, you must have been practiced as an associate for good 15 years or 5 years. So if it was 15 years you have practiced, you are going to write up your working experience. Then you defend, you apply for your membership for fellow. Then you'll be inducted. But for the second old guideline, you just need 5 years experience. Then they are going to give you a research topic. After you have your research topic, you'll be supervised by a lecturer from the university. Then after your research work, you defend. Then you are not eligible to register for fellowship membership. So now for the associate now. For the new guideline for fellowship, We have new guideline for fellowship now. So the old guideline now has been outdated. So the new guideline for the fellowship now, you must have been practiced for 10 years. After your practice for 10 years, you are going to apply for fellowship program. You are going to go through a lecture, module 1, module 2, and you will do a research. So it has been renewed. The guideline has been renewed. So we have a new update guideline now for you to apply for fellowship. So you must have been practiced for 10 years. After that, you will be qualified to apply for your fellowship program. Then you after your application has been approved, you are going to enroll for lecturing. Then after the lecturing phase, for module 1, module 2, then they will conduct exam for you for these 2 modules. Then you are going to conduct a research. Then after you pass your module 1 and module 2 and you defended your research work, then you are eligible to register for fellow. So when you registered and you skate through the registration, you'll be inducted as a fellow of the institute. So the fellow of the institute. So now we are going to talk under corporate membership. Now we also have associates. Associate is meant for graduates. So after you graduated, either from university or polytechnic, you apply for mandatory professional exam. After you apply, you go through study. You are going to pass through examination for module 1 and module 2. Then you pass through practical examination. Then after you pass all this exam, then you are going to be registered as an associate of the institute. You are going to be registered as an associate of the institute. You are going to be registered as an associate of the institute. So what you just need, the requirement you need is your O-level certificate, your mandatory, your O-level certificate, your mandatory professional exam, and also after that you'll be inducted into the profession as either laboratory scientist or laboratory technology. So we have non-corporate, not corporate membership. So under non-corporate, we have honorary membership, we have ordinary, we have student membership. As a member, as a student, you can actually register with the institute. All you just require is your O-level certificate. You can register as a member, but it's just that they are going to give you student membership. And also ordinary membership. The requirement for ordinary membership will be that, okay, you have a OND certificate. So they are going to give you a license to practice as a laboratory technician. So the one honorary membership is that you must have contributed greatly in the field of laboratory science. You might not be a SHE graduate, but if you have contributed to the field of lab technology, you can be honored by giving you a membership, but although you have a limitation, so it's just non-corporate membership. So what are the titles you acquired after you become a member of the institute? So for graduate, after you have been licensed, you are entitled to bear this title to your name, and that is associate of Institute of Science Lab Technology, AIST. That is what you will have behind your name. For fellow, you have FIST, while for honorary fellow, you have just honor fellow. So those are the some of the titles you'll be entitled to when you are being inducted. So as a graduate, you'll be AIST associate member. For fellow, that will be FIST SAT as a fellow. So under institute now, we have administrative structure of the institute. We have structure of the institute. So number one structure is the governing council. So the governing council now, they consist of 12 registered members of the institute with 2 representatives from 6 geopolitical zones of the federation, which will be nominated by the Association of Science Laboratory Technology of Nigeria and appointed by the president under recommendation of the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation. So we have a council, a governing council in NIST. It's an arm under the institute. So these 12 members are being nominated from Association of Science Laboratory Technology of Nigeria, and it must be from 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, 2 members. So, and by law, their tenure as a council representative is 3 years. And in this council composition, there must be a representative from the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, Ministry of Finance, and 1 person that will represent the public opinion. And this governing council, they are the one that will make law for the profession. They are the one that will set the standard for how lab should be operated. They are the one that determine the standard for examination. They are the one that approve your fellowship exam. They are the one that will issue your license to practice. So these are the functions. They basically make law for the profession. So you have 12 registered members who is being nominated from 6 geopolitical zone of Nigeria, from the Association of Science Lab Technology. So they are being sorted from Association Aslton, and this appointment is subject to president approval through the recommendation of the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. So we have 3 representatives from the Minister of Education, Minister of Science and Technology, Minister of Finance, and we have 1 person that represents the public interest. So in the next one, we are going to be talking about the executive. So we are going to be talking about executive of NIST Council Board and its function. So this board, they have executive. We have council of the chairman, the vice council. The registrar of the institute will be the secretary to the council. So what are the functions of NIST governing council? One of their function is to approve qualification for registration of the membership, to publish the qualification for the registration in the Gazette from time to time, to approve course of training at any institution for SAT program. So they involve in designing curriculum for SAT in conjunction with NUC. So they are the part of people that design curriculum for a university and polytechnic. So for university, we have NUC regulating academic institution. We have NAPTEC regulating the polytechnic. So the governing council of NIST involved in making curriculum for SAT program. So they also prepare and disseminate curriculum for polytechnic, like I said earlier, and university. They make rules and regulation for the protection for the profession. They prescribe the form of license to practice to be issued annually. So they actually provide license for SAT graduates. They determine the amount and the date you have to pay for the subscription. Like now, we pay our annual subscription 1st January of every year. So if you pay January, we pay January and it will due December. So they are the one that provide time we will subscribe for our license and time it will expire. So they also grant approval for license for associate and fellow of the institute. So these are some of the functions of the NISLT Governing Council. So these are the list of NISA governor, NISA council chairman right from the inception. I just get their name, the list of NISA council chairman right from their inception. We have Mr. S. Akinja, we have Mr. Chance Obaseki, we have the last council we have is Mr. Olu Ajayi Michael. So these are some of the council chairman right from the inception. So we also have the National Secretariat of NISLT. We also have structure for secretariat. So we have the registrar. The registrar is also the chief executive and also general. In national, secretariat of NISLT, we have a registrar who is also the chief executive officer and director general. So the council shall appoint a registrar from among the members of the profession in consultation with the minister with minimum experience of 8 years through the council rules in accordance with the NISLT Act. So the appointment of the registrar, who is the CEO and also Director General of the Institute, the secretarial part of the Institute. You know, I've talked about the Governing Council. Now we are the National Secretary of the Institute. We also have administrative structure. So we have the registrar, who is also the Chief Executive Officer and also Director General. And how this how they appoint carry the appointment of this position is that the council appoints from the members, from the Association of Science Laboratory Technology, somebody that has experience of minimum of 8 years, and the council make a rule for how this registrar can be appointed. So some of the function of the registrar or chief executive or the director general is to manage and coordinate all the resources and the activity of the department at the secretariat and the zonal office of the institute throughout the country. So their function is to coordinate and manage the resources and the activities of all the departments. But under the secretariat of NISLT, we have, or we are still going to go to that, we have the director of inspectorate, we have director of inspection, inspectorate, director of research, account section, and all of that. So the function of the registrar of the institute, like I mentioned earlier, is to manage and coordinate all the resources and the activities of the department at the secretariat and zonal office of the institute throughout the country. He also acts as the chief accounting officer of the institute. He also acts as the secretary to the council. He also maintains the registrar of the members, like now we member that register, they are the one that manage our documents there. So they also set a strategic goal and objective for the institute. So they implement the council decision, directive, and mandate of the institute. So when council make a law, like now, we talk about governing council. When they make a law, they pass it to the secretariat. The secretariat. So the head of the secretariat is the registrar. So they are the one that implement the decision of the council. They are the one that implement. So whenever they make a law, they pass it to the secretariat, whereby whereby it will be implemented. So when they make a law for maybe for school, for industry. So it is the national secretariat that will actually ensure that this policy decision are being implemented. So we have department under the secretariat. We have finance. We have administrative and finance department. We have research. We have planning and research development department. We have inspectorate department. So we also have accounting department. So under administrative and accounting department, and we have a assistant registrar. It's been headed by assistant registrar. So their function is to appoint, promote, discipline, staff welfare, training. They manage all those things, and they handle the issue of budget associated with the institute. They handle the transaction. This happens in the finance and administration department. So they have planning, research, and development, which is headed by assistant registrar. They also call them director, assistant director. So they are the one that design and execute a research project in the area of SAT. Like I said earlier, that the institute have a mandate to conduct research. That is why they have a department for that purpose, which is called planning, research, and development, and which is headed by assistant registrar or director. So they are the one that manage, execute research project in the institute in the area of science, laboratory technology. So they organize exhibition of laboratory equipment, standardizing equipment, and instrument in the laboratory, assist the institute on acquisition, application, and the maintenance of laboratory equipment, designing, fabricating, and adopting functional laboratory equipment. These are some of the research of some of the function of research and development department.